Recording. Yay.
Yay!
Here we are. Victoria. It's been forever.
Hello. It's been so long.
I know. You're in Toronto, right?
Yeah, I'm in Bolton right now with my family and stuff.
My computer just like glitched out. Yes, how is your family? How's everyone?
Everyone's good. I came back in September, well, end of August, September, just for a couple of reasons, but it's been really good just being back home to recharge and to just spend some time, especially during this year. Like I wasn't home for all of the beginning half of the year, and then I decided in the summertime that I wanted to come back. So it's just been really nice, and it's just a strange time, so it just feels really, comforting to be around my family and, old friends and everything. But for the most part, I'm doing well. How
Yeah,
are you?
I'm great. Thanks. How's your brother doing? Is he out of university? Yes, because he's older.
Yeah, so he graduated in 2018, 2019. I think it was 2018, pretty
Yes.
sure.
Okay.
Or no, I lied. 2019, he graduated. Right out of school, he got a position at a architectural interior design firm in Etobicoke.
Casual.
Yeah, so he got a great job straight out of school, which was
Yeah.
awesome. So he did 5 years in school, and then so now he works at a firm there. He's a junior at the company. They design really awesome stuff like installations for, like he did installation. He was on the team for Fenty Beauty and Sephora, so they like design like
Oh,
that kind of stuff. It's
yeah.
really awesome, and he loves it. And thankfully, throughout this past year, like they kept him at the company even though he is a junior, which is really, really awesome.
Wow.
But yeah, he's doing well. I'm so proud of him. Like,
Yeah, good for him.
it's a crazy hard job too. So we're creative in different ways, but yeah, he's doing well.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I'm curious to know how the pandemic was in LA and like your area of things.
Yeah. You know, it was scary, I'm not gonna lie. And I don't know if there's just another element of it that made it scary because like I wasn't home.
Right. Like you
And
mentioned.
yeah, so I feel like at first everybody went crazy, obviously. Like there was James and I went to like 4 different grocery stores, and there was no food in all of the stores. Like I'm not even kidding. Like there was like no produce, no chicken, no
God.
meat. Like we literally drove to 4 different grocery stores, and we were just like, all right, like tomorrow morning we're waking up and we're going there at 7 a.m. waiting in the parking lot to get stuff because it was just crazy. Like over that weekend of when everybody was going into the safer at home order, um everyone just went kind of wild. And then things obviously started to like calm down a little bit, but we weren't seeing anyone. We were just in my apartment and stuff, so it was weird. And then I think, as the time went on, things started to level out a little bit. But then obviously with BLM movement and everything, there was some riots like in my area, nothing too crazy, but it was actually interesting to be there during that time because I felt like I was like a part of history, which is really, really amazing. But not to say that the city wasn't like going crazy. There
Yeah.
was a lot of energy, a lot of high tension, a lot of like just people like on edge, obviously.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yeah, it was wild, like being there through all of it. But yeah, like I feel like obviously if I was at home here in like Bolton, like I would have had a much different experience being in like a small town. Just because, yeah, just being in a big city in general. I'm sure you kind of felt that too. Like, were you in Toronto or were you back home?
I was in Toronto for like the last half of it. So like the first
Yeah.
3 months I was with my parents in
Oh, okay.
Georgetown,
Yeah.
which was great because everyone there was just like
Yeah.
fine, like share things. Like they weren't as like much about like taking all the supplies.
Yeah.
And there was like they had to enforce like a 2 product per
Yeah.
person
They
kind
started
of
doing that
thing.
too in LA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that helped. But yeah, and then it wasn't as bad in Georgetown, but then when we came back to Toronto, we came after the like first big wave of it. So I feel like we kind of avoided all of the like craziness of
Yeah.
everything. But there was actually quite a few shootings near us in
Oh,
the past like 3-4 months. There's
oh
like
my.
two main shootings, but like close enough where like I probably could have walked by and like been in the middle of it. Like, it was terrifying.
That's so
But
scary.
luckily we were away from it, so.
Yeah, that's good. Gosh, I
Yeah.
know. There were some incidents for sure, like in my area too, where we were just like, okay, maybe we'll just stay inside for a couple days and like not go out on the street. Whatever,
We don't
I
have to buy supplies yet. We can wait.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's inevitable in like a big city, but yeah. So I'm happy to be here and just having a break from it all.
Yeah.
Which is it's just been crazy, but yeah.
You
So
have a plan to go back at all, or no? Not
yeah, I'm planning to go back in the new year. I think
Great.
the plan is for James to be here for Christmas. So the border actually just put in this new rule where if you've been in a relationship for over a year, then your American or outside of Canada partner can come here for an extended period of time, which is good. So we filled out all that paperwork, and the plan is for him to be here for Christmas and stuff with me because I have his dog too. Because I wasn't sure coming here like what the plan was going to be. I knew that obviously there was a lot of stuff going on in the industry here, a lot of stuff filming, and then I booked like a small job and whatever. So I was just like ready to be back here, and then I wasn't sure about when I would be going back to LA. The plan is to go back to LA in January. We'll see. Yeah.
Hopefully things open up enough, and then like.
Yeah, exactly. So
pilot season.
I know, and I'm like, obviously we're all worried with like the second wave and lockdown that the industry will shut down once again, but we'll see. Only time will tell. I feel like you can't really plan.
You can't plan anything. I saw this tweet that said, like, I'm trying to plan my vacation for 2025, but I want to wait and see because you don't know. Because it's like,
seriously though, like we don't know. We have no idea what tomorrow holds. There's always new rules and regulations, and I think it's just best to not plan.
I know.
Not plan so much.
Yeah. Is there anything that you've done in 2020 that's like the thing that's like kept you sane? Or is there like a routine, or is there something you like turn to?
I mean, like I've always kind of felt, even through dance and stuff, that any like physical activity has always been my like outlet, but definitely this year, like it's solidified for me that I need to like work out at least every day, or 5 times a week or whatever it is, to feel just like sane and have like a release of some sort. So I definitely felt like over the first like quarantine that I was going hard with like my workouts, and then obviously cooking and actually reading more. But definitely I would say like the physical activity element has kept me like sane for sure, because I felt like there were days where I just wanted to like scream, and I felt like that was like a good outlet for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna take my anger out on these freaking like kettlebell swings. You know what I mean? So seriously though, I'm like, oh my God, like so yeah, that's definitely been one thing that I feel like has helped me to, get through a hard day for sure. But for the most part.
Because like I was like kind of working out during quarantine, but mostly just drinking a lot. And then
I was definitely having wine at the end of the night, being like
And then like September was like my like go month. I just started working out every day, and it was like I felt great. I felt on top of the world. And
I know, it just gives you a good boost, like even for my confidence too, like I just felt like I was accomplishing something every day, even if I wasn't, actually doing anything outside of that. I still felt like I achieved something that day, which is like definitely important for me to feel,
No, it's so true.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you've been reading a lot. Have you had it?
I've been reading more. I've definitely, you know what it is, like, you know me, like I'm not a huge reader. You're definitely a really big reader, and like I am so inspired by your reading. But I've been more into like podcasts or like Audible books and stuff like that. Like I literally now catch myself, if I'm driving somewhere, I'll just throw on a podcast to listen, so that I can feel like I'm not just, wasting time or space, but I'm actually like listening to something that's either funny or educational, or, there's certain podcasts that I love. I even catch myself like reading every news article, like so strange, on the news app on my phone. I'm like literally just like reading what's going on, and like I feel like I wouldn't usually do that before, but I actually want to. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
it's like, it's like a chore to read the news.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh no, I need to know what's going on. I need to
Yeah, and I actually want to read it, and I want to take a second to understand,
yeah,
everything that is going on, because there's a lot.
so much. I guess that's kind of in a silver lining kind of way, like a bit of a positive of this year
Yeah.
is that like more people, at least our age, are like actually paying attention now.
Totally. And I'm very grateful for that. I feel like we're like a part of a really good age group to like create change, which is awesome. So
Yeah, no, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's so clear. Speaking of change,
Yeah.
a bit of
Yeah.
a transition
Transitional.
into, we have to talk about the next step because
Yes.
people who are
Yes,
going to
we do.
watch this are going to be like very
Oh,
much waiting for this.
yes.
So I have this question that I asked. I did this with Vic. Oh my God, with Erica and with Brennan too.
Yeah.
I asked them this question and it kind of stumped them. So I'm curious to know what your thoughts are in
Okay.
terms of like, uh, out of all the seasons that you were on the next step, was
Yeah.
there any sort of storyline or like characteristic or some sort of relationship or anything that Michelle didn't get to experience or they didn't explore at all that you wished she could have gone through, or like a side of her that you wished was shown more?
Man.
I know, it's the thinker. I can give you my answer so if you want to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, tell me about Riley.
Okay. So for me, it was that I really felt like in season 1, they had like this strong grasp on her like independence and her focus on the team and the work ethic of like dance itself. And then it became so like so much about the relationship that like things didn't go back to that, like her finding out who she was and like being comfortable with that. And so I wish that they sort of, even if she lost track of it along the way, I wish they kind of came back to that Riley, that like headstrong, really.
I totally see that.
Right?
Yeah, because a lot of what was happening in your world was revolving around the relationship aspect
Mm-hmm.
and not so much just around like you as Riley and what you were up to. Yeah, I totally get that.
I feel like Michelle was very much like an independent. Like she was like
She was, like I feel like I feel like I had a really good mixture of relationship wise storylines to heartbreak and devastating life events like my parents getting divorced and stuff, like all of those elements kind of tied into then me transitioning to being like studio head with Alex and stuff. So I feel like I did have a really good um well-rounded character, I would say. And I did have great storylines throughout all the seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been cool to see Michelle outside of the next step as like what I was doing to pursue my professional career maybe in the last season. Mm-hmm. That would be kind of cool to like show people, to do like a little bit of like a play on what we're actually all up to about chasing our dreams outside of the studio. But then I'm like, I don't know if that would fit into all like the drama of what's going on in the studio. I'm not sure. But I don't know. There's nothing that I would really want to change about my storylines. Maybe to see Michelle. I know like in season 4, my character definitely was a little bit stronger and a little bit, hot-headed and stuff, but to maybe have a little bit more backbone just all throughout my character.
Yeah.
Because
I
was a little soft, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it worked in like the contrast to Emily and stuff. But yeah, maybe just to be like a little bit more stronger and to like speak my mind, because like as Victoria, I definitely like speak my mind if I feel like something's off or wrong or whatever. But yeah, that's really it.
love that.
Hard question.
Right? Isn't it interesting? Because like
Yeah.
now that I feel like we've had some time away from it, whenever I look back, I see so many things I didn't at the time.
Yeah.
And me and Brennan actually like a couple months ago watched like the first season. We watched like a few episodes, and honestly, dude, it was good.
Like, I know. I just like, I always see people posting little clips on Instagram and I'm like, I just wish I could like tell that like 14-year-old girl that like everything crazy was about to happen for her. Like, I don't know. I feel like just seeing myself, I had no idea what we were doing and like what it was, and that I was one day going to be so obsessed with film and just acting and like the art of it. You know, it's so crazy because I just look back at that and I'm like, I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
We were just literally like going with the flow of things and then being offered to travel like everywhere. Oh my gosh, it's just so crazy. But yeah, like it is good. The season 1 is, I mean, it's classic.
Like it was obviously like there are moments where I'm cringing at my performance.
Oh, me too. Me too.
But I was like, honestly though, I kind of love the awkwardness of our characters because they mesh so well together and we were so genuine and authentic and like
I totally feel that.
right? And like yeah, we were like awkward and like we don't like that sometimes to watch back, but like it was so good. It was such a good like kid show and no wonder people connected with it. Like yeah. Anyways, do you have one thing that you can think of that like you like when you started, is there anything you wish you could have told yourself when you were starting that you know now, especially like as the seasons progressed?
Yeah.
Was there one thing that you like figured out when you were working on the show that you were like, oh, I wish I told myself this in season 1 or 2 and like I don't know.
Yeah, I think I was really worried about what everybody else thought, and you know, especially being so young and being with all you guys who are a little bit older than me. I just wish that I would have told myself that this is something that I really actually was serious about, because you know, I vividly remember signing with my agent and then being like, I don't really know if this is like what I want to do, but I think that doubt came from other people's judgment and worried about if it was actually something that I was, you know, serious about. Because now I'm like, if I took my acting career half as serious as I do now back then, I feel like I would have been in a different place mentally back then. But then I'm like, I wouldn't be where I am now because I'm so like, it's everything that I want to do with my life, you know, and I'm sure you feel that too. But I didn't feel like that back then because I was just like tossed into it and it all happened so quickly.
And you were 13 too.
I know, I was like super young and I felt like I was always confident, but a lot of my confidence came from other people and other people like building me up and people telling me you're going to go places, or you're going to do this, or you're, you know, you're a star, and all these things that I think both you and I were always like told about the show, but I don't know if I truly felt that. So I feel like if I could give myself advice for back then, it would just be to, honestly, it sounds cliche, but to seriously just believe in myself, because I had so much doubt and so much fear of things not working out or it not being the right path, or, you know, just failure.
Yeah.
I think when you're afraid of failure, you're actually holding yourself back by 1,000,000%, you know?
Yeah.
So I think just that little tidbit of information at that age from my own voice would have been helpful for sure.
Yeah. So interesting you say that, like you were so dependent on what other people, like other people's opinions of your performance or your like level or your worth maybe.
Yeah, totally.
I felt the same way, like for sure. Because we were all in our like awkward teen stages, or at least I was, and you were, I mean, you weren't awkward, but you know what I mean.
I wasn't awkward, but I was definitely young and like naive, you know, like
young, like yeah, and you're not like, you haven't fully grown up yet, so there's that all happening on camera. And so then in that process, if people are telling you you're doing great and whatever, it feels great. But I also felt like I was like, okay, but this character is so close to my personality, can I even do this? Like, am I a good actor, or am I just good at being myself on camera?
That's what I felt too. And I look back and I'm like, but was I acting? Was I seriously focused on how to be an actor? I'm not sure. You know, it's all confusing in my head because I'm like, when I'm put into a situation where I now have to be a character, I'm like, how do I do this?
Right.
Like, you know, you're figuring out how to bring elements of yourself to every character that you're auditioning for, but then it's like, I'm not used to that because I wasn't doing that, but I have to learn how to. Yeah. And it's hard, you know, it's not easy. But yeah, I feel that too, because we were kind of just being ourselves with a hint of a storyline and, you know, all that kind of stuff that,
This
yeah,
form of like manipulation going on, obviously.
yeah,
Just like kind of being ourselves. Yeah.
yeah, with like, and then also the loosely scripted scripts that we had, there was no actual like, you know, you say this and I say that. So that kind of also messed with my brain a little bit once I started auditioning for other things, because I was like, oh, okay, oh, this is hard. You know, it's not easy, but yeah, it's all been a learning curve, and it's all just a lot.
So crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm
Yeah.
so thankful though for it all.
Oh
It's so
yeah,
crazy.
100%. Because I did a reaction video to reacting to a season 7 episode of The Next Step. So I had no idea what was going on.
Oh gosh,
But it was
okay.
episode 2, so I didn't realize you left the first episode.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was Michelle's exit? Like, what did they give for your like?
So I only did 3 episodes total of season 7, because I'm in the first episode, and then I come back for 2 episodes like on the back half. Like I think it's like episode, sorry if you haven't seen the whole season. Like spoiler alert.
Where's
Sorry,
that? CBC Gem, right? CBC
Yes,
Gem.
yes, yeah. In Canada, yeah, it is. And I think it's already premiered in CBC in the UK. So
Okay.
I come back like season or episodes like 17 and 18. So my exit in season 7 at the beginning was just that I am offered to leave the studio, or not offered to, but I tell Emily that I want to chase my dreams of becoming a professional dancer outside of the studio, and that I no longer want to, you know, run the studio with her.
Yeah.
She's like obviously very upset with me, but then once everybody knows that I'm leaving, they like throw me a good goodbye Michelle dance exit thing, which was really awesome. They had like old costumes there. They had like Showstopper. Um, what's the blue one we did? Stutter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Stutter.
I know.
Dude.
And the first year, the Romeo and Juliet dance. There was like, I think there was 4, and the yellow one too. The
Oh yeah, that's
inflatable. There's so many dances. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, which
I
one?
forgot that was a dance.
Sure.
Until you
I
just,
know, me too. I saw the costume and I was like, oh, I forgot about that one.
yeah.
Yeah, so they had those costumes there, and then some of the cast reenacted some of the old dances. It was cool. It was really, really awesome. I genuinely was like crying.
Oh, I would
Not
be.
even just as Michelle. I was just like me as Victoria, like literally crying inside, because it's been 8-9 years, you know, since we were kids, just shooting a pilot. You know, it feels like yesterday, but then it also feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, it was great though. Like I had just the best time with everybody and the crew and everything. But I also felt strangely just ready, and like
Right.
even with like the crew and stuff, I just felt like, you know, like everybody, it was like a proper send off, which was awesome. But yeah, I just felt inside of my heart that it was the right thing to do. And I'm sure we've all had that moment where we're like, yeah, okay, it's time to move on, you know, not to move on and forget about our journey, but to just move on and see where life takes us without that element of it always being there and like lingering, you know.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I felt the same way in season 5, because I was like, oh yeah, this is done. But also, it was
Yeah.
like 2 sides of the coin of like me feeling so heartbroken to say goodbye, but also like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've all had that moment of like, okay, it's time to, you know, to expand our growth and to see whatever's next for all of us. Because it's been our life, you know. It's
Yeah.
just easy, and it's the only thing I've ever known in that time frame. So I just knew inside of my heart, especially even being in LA too. I was like, you know, I want to do another season, but am I limiting myself off to do other things? And like, what if something else came across the table? What if, you know, I wanted to explore it? And then, yeah.
And then the next step was there, so you couldn't. And then it's
Yeah,
like, yeah.
exactly. So it was great though. It was good.
Yeah. I know. I have a lot of good memories thinking back. Like, it was just such a fun time. It's crazy.
I know.
Also, too, I just realized that we both played studio heads, which not
Yes,
everyone did. So
I know.
was it weird for you as it was for me to play
It
studio?
was so weird. It
Right?
was so weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not
I
alone.
just felt like, what am I doing? Like, I'm like actually in charge. Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to like
It's strange.
walk into these kids that are like not that much younger than us. Like
Yeah,
they're young.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was weird.
I know, it was weird. And then even doing it with Alex too, like I was like, oh, this is like feels like old times with our rivals and our little like tiffs and stuff. But then it feels like we're just like actual adults and it's weird.
And yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
whole other
Yeah.
thing because you're not
It
the
was fun though. Like I was like, ooh, we get to be in charge, whatever. But then I felt like, I feel old now. What?
I know. I felt like there was no transition period. It was just like you play the
Boom,
character as a kid and you're like you're immature and whatever and you're going through all those teenager things like storylines and then all of a sudden next season they're like, "Okay, now you're the head of the studio." And
yeah,
you're like, "Whoa,
literally.
where's the transition?"
Literally.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was literally like, okay, you're done now as a dancer, and now you're in charge.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
know. And I feel like did you feel I mean, I don't know how to like did you feel weird about the cast changing over because you've been around since like with
yeah.
every single turnover cast, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I've been around for like basically every cycle of like age group. Yeah, it was definitely weird because, you know, looking at what we didn't know about the show and what we kind of all created as a team and as a cast to then see that, trickle onto maybe some kids that actually watched The Next Step growing up and now they're on the show. And it was crazy because I felt like we obviously had no idea what we were doing. And then things just started kind of like, growing and everybody around the world was watching our show to then like us all leaving. And then I was still there with the new cast, so I had like a first look at what was going on with all these new kids, and it was strange because I was like, okay, this is a whole new vibe. It doesn't feel how it like nearly felt with all of us on set. Completely different vibe. Although I did find some really great friends through the new cast in a different way, like a brotherly, like younger brother or younger sister, someone that I could like take under my wing and, be like respected in a different regard from these kids. So it was cool. It was definitely different. And it never felt like, I'll be honest, like it never felt like how I felt with our cast, just because I wasn't in like the cast in that way. I was like a little bit on the outside as like an OG. So I always had like a little bit of a different title and like standard from everybody else, which was cool. But yeah, it was just different. It was just a different vibe and not the same as what we had. But I think also the newer casts have their own vibe and like their own kind of friendships and their own, behind the scenes drama and whatever. But you know, yeah, so it was cool though to see what they created on their own. Yeah, but it's definitely different. It's a different vibe for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so now that you've been away from the next step for what, a
Yes.
year or two? When did you
Yeah, like over a year.
Yeah. So then or even just like I guess you haven't been like in the it doesn't really matter. Regardless.
Yeah.
The next step is now behind you. So what is
Yes.
I'm about to be really punny. What is the
What-
next step
the
for
next
you?
step. I
And like,
knew it was coming.
what's your dream role? Like if you had the choice to like write a role for yourself and then like make it happen, what would it be?
Totally. So my favorite actresses that I definitely like all-time dream roles. Jennifer Lawrence is a huge one for me, and Margot Robbie. Those two are like, very strong in my mind. I know, strong. Um, I I love the Hunger Games series, and I think that would be such a fun type of role to play. Something that's like action packed that I could also use my athleticism to, portray a character is definitely something that I've always wanted to do. Like since I started becoming more serious about my acting career, obviously. So that is definitely a cool thing that I would want to write for myself if I had a dream role. A very like not necessarily action, but thriller, sort of athletic, strong female role. That's just a powerful, empowering role for me as a woman. And then also I love Margot Robbie because she's always played these kind of quirky, you know, maybe a couple little screws are loose in her mind kind of characters, like Harley Quinn or I, Tonya. Like her and I, Tonya was incredible. It's just because she had to play this like crazy character. Her and Wolf of Wall Street as the crazy wife who's just like erratic and fun and you know, always getting mad at Jordan Belfort is so funny. But yeah, like, and also she's just like a very like powerful, sexy woman that you just can't take her eyes off of her. And I think that's like such a cool character in a film because you want more from them. So definitely those two ladies are high up on my list of, but there's so many more. Natalie Portman, all these people that I definitely look up to that we all know and we all like love. But yeah, I admire so much like that female strong role in a film because there's like none other. So I think that's kind of what I have always like dreamt of doing in that regard. Right. Yeah.
Would you
what
ever
about you?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
I agree on the action thing. I want to do something like if I could be a Marvel superhero, which is like literally catching lightning in a bottle like 5 times in a row, then
yes.
Yeah, I would want to do that. I would want to be some sort of badass character, like kind of like Deadpool. Think Deadpool.
Yes.
Really funny and like super inappropriate and like kind of raw. That shit I want to do so badly.
Yeah.
But I also want to do like dramedy, like something that is super like heavy and quite dark, but taking a comedic spin on it. Because I feel like I love comedy and I love drama and like morphing them together. I feel like
I love your comedy.
Yeah, thanks. I love the dark comedy for sure. But yeah, I really feel like morphing those two together is such a great blend of the two things that I love. Because when I do drama, I can go really heavy, but then with comedy, I want to do. I like that added to the drama just like lightens the mood. It like relieves some of the tension. So that's the kind of vibe I'm looking for.
Funny. Oh my god, I want to see you in something like, I'm trying to, like Deadpool, oh my god, dark comedy, so brilliant, like it's so brilliant.
Really funny. Like,
Oh, I love that question. I'm just like,
I know, right? Would you ever like write something for yourself? Have you ever tried?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I definitely would. I'm now more than ever like inspired to dip my foot into that area. I've always been scared to. I mean, I'm like, we're definitely still young, so it's not like it's like, oh my gosh, you know, I need to write a script tomorrow and pitch it. But definitely 100%. Even if I just do like a short or something that, you know, I wrote or co-wrote with someone, like that's definitely something that I want to be doing in the next year or two for sure.
Yeah, because like I feel the same way. I was like terrified of it. Still kind of am, but like I'm just ignoring it.
I definitely am. It's scary.
Yeah, because the first thing you write is like the first thing I wrote is like hot shit. Like it's trash. But it was like, okay, great. I got that out of the way. Now I can like try again and hopefully learn something new and like.
Yeah, totally. It's all a process, especially when you're in front of the camera. And that's all you've like known for a couple years and stuff. Like it's definitely hard to like, okay, but what happens behind the camera and what are all these elements that need to make sense to create a cohesive story, you know?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Yeah, like one of my favorite pastimes is just like reading a script from a movie that I love and seeing like the translation from page to screen. And also understanding like, because for me when I started, I feel like I was terrified of not having it perfect, whereas like a spec script is so bare bones. It's just the skeleton, and like all the departments have to like bring in their taste, kind of thing.
Totally.
And like the director puts his or her stamp on it, and so like I feel like once I got over that hurdle of like not needing to have everything figured out, then I was like,
then you're like, oh, okay, it's fine. I don't have to be perfect, and I don't have to know what I'm doing. I feel you.
But like for real,